Well, he must have a headache there because, I mean, this is the fourth
more than
time,
a headache.
And then this happens time and time again. But he says Nigerians must rise up against violence. How do we do that?
Very tough question. But it comes from the basics. Why do people leave their homes and go out there on an election day and go out to risk losing their lives? These are questions we need to answer. One of the first things that you must understand is that when people are poor, it is easy to manipulate them. So poverty is an issue that we need to start to talk about in our time here.
We'll talk about that and a little further as well when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, don't forget, you can also send your comments to us. You could tweet at us. It's Sunrise Daily now. Or you could also send us an email, sunrisedaily@channelstv.com. So those are the other platforms that you could participate in this. We're talking about how do we achieve a violence-free election. Go ahead and send us your email. We'll be glad to receive them from you. Well, speaking about which, we heard the frustrations of the resident electoral commissioner there. So
I empathize with
him. Up until now, he still feels that angst. But you were talking about the fact that poverty is one of the determining factors to all of this.
It is.
How?
Because I wouldn't imagine that being a young person who is a political supporter of a particular candidate would leave my house on the day of an election to go out there at the risk of losing my life if there is something that I'm leaving behind in my house. So it would mean that a lot of the people who get themselves into these violent situations are people who, like we say in the local parlance, who have signed off. They're ready to commit their life to it. And it is basically because they're getting something in return for that, which is the essence of poverty. I don't think a man who has a job, who has a family to feed, who is making some income, would go out there at the risk of losing his life for 50,000 naira to go out there and kill somebody or maim somebody. So we need to address this as a national problem, where people need to be reorientated about going out to participate in an election. Whether or not the person who you want to support has popularity, it's usually determined by the number of people who cast votes for him.
Since we're looking at ways to proffer solutions to have a more, acceptable electioneering and voting process, what do you make of the narrative, for instance, that perhaps we shouldn't have the military at times of elections, as we did see someone in the visuals we just showed that was practically livid, and the soldiers were asking him to step aside. Does that cause some degree of friction whenever we're having elections?
I would say violence begets violence. If there has not been the propensity for violence, there would not have been need to bring in the military force there. It is because the psyche of the people who live in a community is already prone towards violence. That's why the responding authority would bring counter-violence to be able to stop what is expected of the community.
Why not the police?
It's probably going to be the same thing, but the police may not be as well armed as the military.
Well, there always something that needs to be focused on in the subsequent days, which we will. But we have to thank you, Dr. Adedeji Adetokunbo of Professionals for Change. We appreciate your coming in and talking to us this morning.
So a pleasure anytime.
We'll be back in a moment, everyone. Don't go away.